Welcome, everybody, back to the Rope Break. We told you that we would be back. We weren't going to do a couple months hiatus like we did before. So you actually get two podcasts this week because I just uploaded one on
Imagine
Sunday.
my surprise.
Yeah, I know. It's a surprise that I uploaded it, right? We are going to be doing this every Friday. I need to do that because if I don't, things may not get posted for 2 weeks. So if I tell myself that we're going to do this every Friday, or at least it's going to get posted every Friday, that's what's going to happen. And today's a big show.
Big, giant.
It's
like
huge.
big as Bo Dallas' streak.
A little bit bigger than that, even, surprisingly. The big news, and I mean, some people are saying that this could be one of the biggest weeks in professional wrestling history.
Yeah, let me just state it. I mean, it could possibly be one of the biggest things ever. And I'm sorry to say it, folks, Bo Dallas' streak ended.
It did.
That's the big thing we're going to talk about today.
We're going to spend an hour to talk about Bo Dallas.
All right, and his greatest matches.
His greatest matches, the moments he's had, the obstacles he has had to oversee to get where he has come to now.
Yeah, just to get rolled up pinned in the middle of the ring. And
By R-Truth.
By R-Truth, who I didn't even know was still at the company.
Who knows? R-Truth could be gone in a week.
But not even. He might be tomorrow.
It very well could be. And we're going to get into that, actually. That's one of the things we're going to get into because someone did get cut today. It's not a huge deal of who got cut. But the big deal is that more cuts, I feel, are coming, and this is just the start of it. But in all honesty, though, the big news this week is that Spike TV has canceled TNA Impact. We are being told. I mean, something could change. They say that negotiations are ongoing, but I honestly believe they are saying this to save face for Dixie Carter, to make maybe other companies believe that they are still negotiating, so maybe they'll want to put TNA somewhere else. But that is the big news coming out today, and it affects a lot of things. It affects, first of all, it could affect the closure of TNA as a whole. Which would be horrible for the wrestling industry to just have WWE, because really that means, for a talent standpoint, that means that there's only WWE to work for. As a fan standpoint, that means WWE creative just got lazier.
Yeah.
And then people are saying that they could just buy the library, where it's like $500 per hour or something.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
It's crazy because if you were to actually purchase the TNA library right now, that would cost you leaps and bounds more than it cost them to buy the WCW library. And I would love for someone to tell me that the TNA library is worth more than the WCW library.
Yeah. And that, and the fact that it's, I mean, I understand that it's a lot of, money and stuff, but you're only going to be getting a couple guys that are even on your roster, like Sting. You could use Sting footage. You could use Christian. I mean, it's only really a couple guys. It's not really a whole lot. It would be.
I would say Sting, Christian, the Dudleys, the Hardys.
Yeah, and then the couple other things I've heard is that Spikes didn't want Vince Russo in it at all, and I guess it came out somehow. Like Vince Russo accidentally sent an email and included someone from PW Insider on it, and that's how it got out that Vince Russo was still working with TNA, despite Spike TV telling them we don't want Vince Russo, and that's why this all happened. And that's why Vince Russo was let go a couple days ago.
What an idiot.
And then the other thing I'm hearing, and I actually believe this, I think this could be a possibility. They may keep TNA, but what they were going to do is they're going to buy it from Dixie Carter, just like they did with Bellator MMA.
Yeah.
And they're going to have, and Spike TV is going to have their own wrestling company, which would be TNA.
Oh God.
That's the other rumor I've heard.
Yeah,
so,
I did hear that they were going to maybe buy them. I didn't know the reasoning behind it. I mean, they are like a wrestling kind of station. Like, they've had wrestling on there for a very long time. So,
well, this is the old TNN.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it went from TNN to Spike, and that's when they changed their thing. So they've had ECW on here. They had WWE in the early, I think, 2000s or late 90s or something. Is when they took over for WWE for a couple of years before USA came back.
Yeah.
With them. So they've had a history of having wrestling on their airs, and they've had TNA since TNA is well, not the whole time, but the last couple 5-10 years, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
They've had it on Spike. So
I mean, like Jim Ross was saying, this could be the biggest week. I think he's saying this could be the biggest week if WWE were to actually purchase them. I still don't think WWE is going to purchase them.
There's definitely no way, because with all these budget cuts and them talking about them having no money, I don't even think they could purchase the TV library if they want.
They can't right now.
No, they don't have
at least for that price that they're asking.
Yeah,
they don't. They're cutting people right now. It's like, and if they're going to free up any space, it's going to be for something else that we're going to talk about, and that's going to be Sting, because Sting still doesn't have an actual wrestler contract.
Yeah, and I've heard they've offered him just a standard Legends deal, which can't be a whole hell of a lot, but I mean it's something decent.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess they could be doing that, but I don't think they're cutting people. I think their network numbers and all that, they're just cutting it just for the sake of the Wall Street people, pretty much, and WWE stock. I mean, that's the only reason they're doing it. They're not doing it to get Sting and Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy and all these people. They're not doing it for that.
Yeah. Now, if TNA does be gone, like we actually predicted, and we've been telling you guys that this is going to happen. So it's not a big surprise. I don't think it's a big surprise to anyone that this is really going down. Here's my thing about the whole thing that I'm hearing people talk about. People want to say that just because they like Spike would get rid of them, that TNA is fine. TNA is not going to be fine, people. Do you realize how hard it is for going to a different company? There's not a lot of stations that are just willing to jump right on a professional wrestling team.
Yeah,
especially with TNA's ratings.
Yeah, and the perfect example is ECW on TNN there. They lost their TV deal, and look what happened to them. They went right down the shitter.
WCW was losing their deal, and Bischoff wanted nothing to do with WCW at that point. If you don't have a media format to showcase what you have nothing. You can just do like live shows, or you can do like an event, or you can do like pay-per-views again. Like you can do like weekly pay-per-views or something again. I mean, you can do stuff, but it's not easy, people. It's not easy at all. And people are talking about how they'll be fine. They'll go somewhere else. Where? Do you realize how hard it was for them to get on a deal with Spike?
Yeah.
The only other option at that point was WGN. And WGN isn't even showcased all over the world. You have to be in a special media market to get WGN. So I'm going to tell you guys this right now. If this is all true and they don't come up with a deal and Spike TV drops TNA Impact, I don't see TNA surviving past that. The writing's been on the wall month after month after month. And if this happens, it's over. Kiss it goodbye. Because they have nothing. And, I mean, if they still had Hulk Hogan on their roster, it would help them a little bit, because Hulk Hogan is something that people know is a household name. But when you get rid of Hogan and you get rid of Sting, I mean, sorry, Jeff Hardy's not going to cut the mustard.
They've cut a lot of their main roster guys lately.
Yeah.
I mean, so I know deals are expiring soon too. I think Kurt Angle's expires within the year. They won't probably keep him. I don't even know. Yeah, and I don't. And I've heard a talk of he wants to go to WWE. I don't even think WWE wants him because he's so many problems.
No, I mean I can see them giving him definitely that Legends deal. Maybe working for a couple months. Maybe just
I heard they would never clear him because
they wouldn't ever still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be bad.
I could see bringing him in for a Hall of Fame induction, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I could definitely see him coming in for a Hall of Fame induction. I would hope that maybe they would give him a retirement match.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I mean, I could see like maybe him just doing promos for a little bit, and then I don't know, maybe at like a WrestleMania.
Rusev versus Kurt Angle.
Oh gosh, I mean, it would work. How much of a slap in the face is that to Kurt? But I mean, it could work. But really, what would this mean for the industry as a whole if TNA, let's say, doesn't get this negotiated contract done, and it looks like they're not right now, and they are off the air?
I mean, it definitely hurts, but I don't think it's the end of the world. A lot of these guys go to these indie shows, Ring of Honor, that Chikara, I think is how you say it, and all them other places, and they do just fine. A lot of these guys go over to Japan because Japan, wrestling is huge in Japan.
Yeah.
So these guys can go to these places. Chris Daniels has already found work in the indies. All these guys, Frankie Kazarian, all them guys have found work in the indies, and I think they make more money probably doing the indie stuff than they would, like TNA, or if they went to the Performance Center or something. And it's a slap in the face to those guys like Kazarian and Chris Daniels. Like, if they wanted to get into WWE, they would most likely be put into the Performance Center and on NXT, and they are better than that. But it's just the way of how WWE operates.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan, as a wrestler, you have one company really to work for. Because the indies are great to go back to, and they can go back to their style, and they can go back to how they did things. But when you only have one show on, or one company that has a show, that kills everything, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, and you've seen how they've acted towards people that were made outside of WWE. They could care less about you.
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't care. They
They're
don't care
to them.
Yeah, they could care what you've done in TNA or Ring of Honor or whatever. They just don't care.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that was the case, AJ Styles would have been signed the day he left TNA.
Yeah, I think if this happens, the only thing that would be able to come of this is hopefully Ring of Honor would be able to get on an actual cable network as opposed to just Fox.
Yeah.
Because then if you just have one company, there's really just one company to work for. I mean, that kills everything.
Well, now with, and I've read this too also, a lot of people in TNA are hoping that Jeff Jarrett has something going and they can join up with Jarrett's wrestling program that he's going to be starting up here soon.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett again.
So that's another possibility, and obviously he knows all them TNA guys. He knows AJ, he knows Chris Daniels, he knows all them guys. So, a lot of those guys, if WWE does not sign them, or they're not, making boatloads of money in the indies, they might just go to Jeff Jarrett's company when it starts up. And I know a couple of them have probably already contacted Jeff Jarrett about it. So, but the next question of part of this I wanted to ask you, Jeff, is who do you think, if anybody, would WWE sign from TNA? Yeah,
that's hard because of all these cuts. I mean, it's going to be a very, very short list. And the people I would assume would be the Hardys and the Dudleys. Not very long, not giving them a very long contract. I mean, 1 year tops for all of them. I would even say 6-month contracts. And that's probably it. I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, there's people that they could pick up. They could pick up like Rude or a James Storm or something. I just don't think that there's that much of an in demand for those people for them to, at this time, sign them. I think they would only go for the people that had worked previously in WWE that fans remember, that fans would be excited for because it's fresh in their mind just from WWE thinks that like people only watch WWE sometimes and they don't watch TNA. And in reality, a lot of fans watch both of them. So some fans would really get excited for a Bobby Roode or a James Storm being in WWE. But I think at this time, with all the cuts going on, I think they would only go for people that they knew from the past and do a 6-month program, get over some tag teams, help out the tag team division even more because it's actually a pretty solid division at this point, and then put them all all in the Hall of Fame at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Hardy was a free agent for how long, and they never picked him up. So I see Bully Ray, Jeff Hardy, and Samoa Joe as the only 3 guys they would even consider signing.
Yeah, Samoa Joe is the question mark to me because we've been hearing for years how they really want Joe. I mean, Joe's gotten the approval from people like Triple H and Stone Cold. So, I mean, high people up within WWE have given their praise for Joe. It just depends on would they, at this point, is Joe worth it with his age getting up there? I mean, he's got to be like getting up there like Punk was. So, I don't know.
Well, that, and there was a recent Twitter thing with those two where Triple H told him to add him or send him a private message on Twitter. So you could only wonder what that was about.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
So, so there's that, and I just really think those are the only 3 guys. I could maybe see Devon, but I mean that's tough too.
I just think that at this point in at least the Dudley's career, I don't think money is an issue anymore. I don't think they really care anymore. I think they just want to end their career in WWE. And just get into the Hall of Fame, and that's about it. I could see it just being a 6-month program, and that's it. And then they're just done. They just get to leave on their own terms.
Which is a shame because I think Bully can still do something. I think Bully.
Oh, I know he can.
With his new gimmick and all that, if they actually used it in WWE, I think he would do just fine with it.
But I don't think they would.
Yeah, I don't think Devon's proven on his own. I don't think he can. He would just be another R-Truth, really.
Yeah,
Matt Hardy, I think, is done. I don't think he's anything special.
I mean,
Jeff Hardy is on his last legs. He's not as athletic and does the crazy stuff as he used to as well, just because, I mean, he's just killed his body over the years.
Yeah. I'd say if Punk was still there, I would have loved to see another Hardy and Punk feud. But with Punk not being there at all, Jeff Hardy is... I mean, Jeff Hardy's just like... I mean, you can compare it really to Rob Van Dam right now. I mean, Rob Van Dam came back, and he's a lot older. He's a lot more careful. He's not as extreme. To me, he bores me now. I'm done with Rob Van Dam, really, honestly. I will always remember Rob Van Dam for what he did in ECW, but he can leave my TV set any day now, and I don't care. I think you're right with Bully Ray. I think it is unfortunate because I think Bully has been able to advance himself in a way that not many people have ever been able to do in professional wrestling. Going from a very prestigious tag team to creating your own self, especially at the age that he is. He got a little bit more fit. He really worked on that gimmick, and it honestly was one of the only things I enjoyed in TNA in the last year was Bully Ray. So, but I don't think WWE would take that chance with him. I think that they would just put him in the tag team.
Yeah. And there's so much talent there that should be signed by WWE but won't be signed that we're not even talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought Bobby Roode would be perfect, but I just think with the budget and all that, and he's never been in WWE, he would just be sent to the Performance Center, and I don't think that would be something he would want to do.
No.
Austin Aries, they would never sign him just because he's small, pretty much, like Daniel Bryan and them.
Division.
Yep. And he's so much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
James Storm, they have other former WWE talents there, like Mr. Anderson and MVP. Those guys probably would never come back or be, they would never sign them again.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mr. Anderson has said so many negative things, but I mean, Bully said some really negative things too in his past. I just don't think it would make sense at this point.
And it's so sad to think, like, when it's so different from when WWE bought WCW, and me and you would sit here and be like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to see this guy, and this guy in WWE."
Yeah, it was
and this guy and this guy, and then now with TNA maybe being bought out or just ending, it's like, maybe 2 or 3 guys, but there should be a lot more. But it's just the way the world is right now.
I mean, you could maybe say it would be interesting to see Abyss. To see what they do with Abyss, but I don't know. I mean, the thing is with them, I mean, it comes back to the budget. It's like if
they already have their Abyss and Kane, really.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It would be interesting for like a couple matches. I mean,
they don't sign people for a couple matches.
I mean, they could sign them for a year. Bring them to developmental for about 4 months. Bring them up for 6 months, and then have a couple matches and see where it goes. I don't know.
I mean, they have so much talent on their roster as is right now.
Yeah,
they don't need to use.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that's one of the topics I did want to bring up was wasted WWE talents right now.
Did you want to turn this into a 3-hour podcast?
Sure.
I mean, that's my favorite thing to talk about. I can go on forever.
As funny as Damien Sandow is, it's so, like, depressing watching Damien Sandow just be wasted. Along with other people. Like, Sandow recently, just because they're doing all these stupid comedy gimmicks with him, like he's their new Santino or something.
Yeah, and they do it all the time with someone that they don't have any... They don't know what to do with it anymore. So
and the Damien Sandow isn't going to say no because he wants a job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to get cut.
Yeah, I mean,
he might get
go
cut
back to NXT.
Yeah, he might get cut anyways.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone I could see them getting cut. But yeah, you're right. I mean, and at least they're putting him on TV, and he's actually. I wouldn't say he's enjoying this because I don't know how you could go from what he was to what he is now and say that you're enjoying what you're doing. But
the guy went from Money in the Bank briefcase holder to this.
Yeah,
it's like wow.
And I don't understand the line creative has nothing for you at this time. And we hear it all the time. Like we heard it even with a guy like CM Punk, and on Punk's DVD he said multiple times that creative had nothing for him and they were just going to get rid of him. Like when you have
because creative is fucking idiots.
Yes. That is the best time for you to use the F-bomb, by the way, that I've ever heard you ever use it.
Thank you.
They are complete and utter idiots, and that's what upsets me mostly about this Impact thing is because when you have just one company and you have you have a 3-hour TV show every Monday night. You're gonna tell me you can't make storylines and gimmicks and matches that hold on for 2-3 months and develop a storyline with lower guys like WCW used to do and WWE used to do back in the day, or like the European title, the TV title, even just regular small feuds. I mean, they had small feuds all the time. That's where wrestling has really gone. There's no development in storylines at all, even for lower guys. No one has any patience.
Yes, and guys just get wasted away. Like I said, R-Truth. I didn't even know he was still with the company. He hasn't seen him in like 3 months.
Yeah, I mean he was with little Jimmy.
Yeah, and then it's like I don't know. They're just it doesn't make sense.
What I don't get is this you have the same people writing for Bray Wyatt as you have writing for Damien Sandow. Like, explain that to me. Explain to me how you can do something with Bray Wyatt, and I know Bray is an individual who is different than Damien Sandow, creative-wise. But still, you have the same people writing these things that have to do with, like, the Wyatt family and had to do with the Shield and stuff like that. And they were getting over, and they were some really cool things that were going on. And then there's other people that, for whatever reason, you just don't care to make a storyline for. It's creative used to be smarter than this, and I will never say that Vince Russo is as much of a genius as people want to paint him to be from the Attitude Era, because he's not. He has shown time and time again with WCW and with TNA, he is not a genius. He had exceptional talent to work with, and some ideas stuck, and they were able to be a little bit more ruthless with things in the Attitude Era than they are now, because you don't have to deal with like stockholders and whatever. But Vince Russo is not that great of a genius at all.
No, this is the man who thought it would be a good idea to throw the strap on David Arquette.
We can't even go there.
I mean, I was watching a WWE countdown of like top 10 biggest blunders or something, and that was on there. And DDP was, I think it was DDP or somebody else was giving the interview, and DDP went up to David Arquette and was like, "Hey man, they're putting the strap on you tonight." And Arquette started laughing like, "Okay, what's really going on tonight?" And DDP's like, "I'm serious, they're putting the strap on you tonight." And David Arquette was like, "No, you can't do that. That would just ruin everything. That doesn't even make sense. You can't do that." And they still went through with it.
I understand doing it on the way of it gives you more media attention because an outside celebrity has now won your title. As a fan,
the only time it ever happened with WWE is Vince McMahon won the title, but he was actually like a legit in the storylines kind of wrestling here and there, like once a month. So like WWE has never done that. It's like Flo Rida coming in and fucking beating John Cena next week.
Yep. Well, that's your second one. No more now.
I mean, it's like.
No, it's exactly the same thing. I mean, Arquette did stuff for the Ready to Rumble movie, obviously, and it had to do with the gimmick had to do with that and the triple cage. But yeah, I mean that's going to go down in history as one of the worst creative ideas I've ever seen, just because it had to do with a prestigious championship like that.
Yeah, I mean, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Sting, Bret Hart, Harley Race,
Dusty.
Steamboat. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on of people who have held that title.
And David Arquette's in the same list.
And David Arquette's going to be on the same list.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Let me ask you this, because San Diego Comic-Con was just this past weekend. Sting made a surprise appearance there. We saw that Sting is now going to have a elite figure made of him, which I collect. So to me, this was awesome, and it looks amazing. We probably won't see it for another year or whatever. But so now we have Sting has a contract with Mattel. Sting has a contract with 2K Sports. And yet Sting doesn't have a contract with WWE yet. And apparently talks aren't any further than they were back in January.
Well, and before we went on the air, I just read that Sting still has never met face-to-face with Vince McMahon.
Yeah, apparently that's going to happen at the SummerSlam weekend or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what has to happen?
It's going to get done SummerSlam weekend. It'll get done. Once they meet face-to-face, that's pretty much going to be it.
But why would it take this long? First of all, why would it take this long to have a face-to-face meeting? Second of all, why would it take this long to just get somewhere in the middle on an actual contract?
Well, just because there are money issues, other things, they're more worried about the network and other things right now. I don't think they're too worried about Sting signing, because what are they going to do with him when they sign him? They're not going to use him on TV right away. He stated that he wants to work with The Undertaker. Well, Undertaker ain't going to come back until WrestleMania at the earliest. So there's just no rush, because there is no rush. You don't need to rush.
With the streak now done, so it's like, what do you even do with that now?
Well, yeah, he says that's who he wants to face, and that's who he wants to face. That's who he wants his guy, his last match to be. So it's
that match is going to be horrible.
I think it'll be a lot better than you think it'll be.
Oh, I
mean, granted, I'm with you. I would have rather seen that match 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, even 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know why Sting felt he had to be so loyal to Dixie Carter for so long. Like it seemed like he felt like TNA was WCW, but it wasn't at all.
I don't think it was Dixie Carter. I think it was more Jeff Jarrett and the Jarrett family. And since Jarrett kind of has left within that last year, I think it's kind of what he was like, all right, I'm out.
How happy do you think Jeff Jarrett is right now?
I mean, he's got to be pretty happy, especially if they do go down. He's going to have, all these TNA guys fall right into his lap who are exceptional wrestlers.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for a guy that started up TNA with his father and molded it into, at a time, I would say it was competition to a degree. There's no competition right now. Even if TNA were to sign a contract, it's not competition anymore. But to do that and then to basically be told you're not working here anymore, and then ever since that happened, the company gets worse and worse because people really were loyal to Jeff and the Jarretts, and they didn't like the direction the company was going, and people are slowly jumping off this ship here and there, and now we get to probably the worst week in TNA wrestling history, where we find out that there's not even a show past, what is it, December?
Something like that.
I think it's December, just the end of the year. I mean, and I guess Spike could they could stop airing them whenever they want, but they have the contract till December. And then Jeff has this new company coming out that he's been hyping up, and he's going all over the world to get talent, and it's basically going to be another fresh start of a wrestling company, and I hope it succeeds, because honestly, where the business is nowadays, you need more companies that you can see. I mean, it's fine to go online, and it's great to watch your local territories that are still there, but as a fan, you need to be able to see it on TV. So I really do hope that Jeff's company succeeds, and I hope that he gets a deal within the next 6 months. And we got off topic. That's okay.
Oh, that's all right. Well, we might as well go to the next topic anyways.
Okay.
And since I really don't know a whole lot about them...
You're going to take my last question, aren't you?
Yeah, you might as well tell us about them.
Okay. All right, so WWE in the last couple weeks have signed Kenta. They've signed Prince Devitt and Kevin Steen. And all three are pretty different styles. To me, this is the big three, if you could say that. There hasn't been a time where collectively in a short period of time that at least I can't remember that they have picked up such great indie talent. Kenta is a great Japanese icon, basically. And that's why that they did a whole press conference surrounded around him, and they did his whole signing in Japan in a ring in front of that crowd. Now, a lot of people are worried that they are just using him just for publicity, just for the WWE network, and things like that. I am hoping that is not the case. Now, he's obviously going to go to the Performance Center, and he's been at the Performance Center. He's been training there for months before this deal even happened, and that's why people thought that he was going to be signed months ago, because he did train at the Performance Center. So he'll stay at the Performance Center. He'll train. He'll get that WWE style under his belt, which I don't think he's going to have any problem with. The problem with him is this. CM Punk took the go to sleep from him. Daniel Bryan took many of his kicks, the style of kicks and just the way that he performs his kicks. He took them from him. So my worry is that he has to change a lot of who he personally is for this crowd, because they're not going to see him as an individual if he keeps these moves. They're going to see him as taking moves from people that they know or they have known. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, I mean, I don't know this personally. You can answer it better than I could, but wasn't Punk's main move in the Indies the Pepsi Plunge first, which is basically a pedigree off the top rope?
Say that again?
Wasn't Punk's first main move in the Indies the Pepsi Plunge, a pedigree off the top rope, basically?
Yeah.
Okay, so they made him get rid of that, so that's kind of what he took on the GTS after that?
Yeah, because after that, then he kind of did like the Anaconda Vice, and then he went into the GTS. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with him. A lot of people are worried about it. I'm not as worried. I think it's going to be fun, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, he has a cool look, and he's an amazing talent. amazing, amazing talent.
Who would you compare him to?
That's extremely hard.
Is he like other Japanese wrestlers, like Tajiri and stuff?
He's more of the. I mean, he has that Japanese style, but it's more like an older kind of Chris Benoit style as well. So it's more of a technical Japanese style, and his kicks are hard. His kicks are real hard. So it's kind of
he's like Tajiri in kicks then, because I remember Tajiri used to kick the crap out of people.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm just going to talk about the others real quick so we don't get too far on this. Prince Devitt, or they're calling him like Fargil Devitt or something like that. I think that's what came across today of the signing of him. He's actually kind of like that Japanese style too. So I guess him and Kenza are kind of similar. The cool thing about him, about Prince, is that he would come out with some crazy makeup on. Like, if you have a chance, go on YouTube and look up some of his stuff. Like, he's come out as Bane. He's come out as the Joker. He's come out as Venom from the Marvel series. His face paint is crazy sometimes, and his attires are out of this world. So I don't know if they're going to be able to be the same thing in the WWE. But as far as his wrestling goes, he's also a very technically sound, somewhat of a Japanese style. He worked in Japan. I mean, he's worked all over the world. It's a great pickup for them. It'll be interesting to see him in the Performance Center for a while and see what they do with him. I am happiest about Kevin Steen because Kevin Steen is a big dude, and I love to see big dudes get signed. And I think the success of Bray Wyatt has made it possible for someone like Steen. He's a Canadian wrestler, big dude, but he is very creative with his moves. He is kind of like a Samoa Joe, where he's able to do moves by like holding people's necks and their heads down, and he's kind of like a wrecking ball, kind of like Husky Harris was, or Bray Wyatt was when he was Husky Harris. So he will be very awesome to see. I'm mostly excited about seeing Kevin Steen in the WWE.
So he's like Bull Dempsey.
He's like what?
Bull Dempsey.
Oh my God! No, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. All right, so that's where I was going to end today because I'm actually surprised you even brought that up.
Okay, well, I have some other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, the only other thing I had for today's show was just talking about the releases. I mean, Ricardo Rodriguez got released today. He had been with the company for about 4 years. And it seems like this is just going to be the start of more cuts. I don't know when it's going to really end.
Well, it sounds like tomorrow and Friday there's gonna be massive cuts.
Okay. Is there anything? Is there anyone on top of your head that you could say that they would cut at this point?
Honestly, I think they would be looking to slash a big salary. I think they cut Rey Mysterio.
You think they just cancel that contract?
Yeah, I mean, what use does he have? He doesn't have any. He sells merchandise. That's about it.
Yeah.
And he's always injured and all that. I think they're going to look to be like, all right, let's just cut our losses, let him go do his own thing, and get rid of his salary pretty much. I could see them letting him go. I could see them telling Rob Van Dam that we're done with you too.
Oh, please. Please.
I mean, Rob Van Dam really doesn't offer anything anymore.
No.
So I could see those two being like the two big names that get cut. I mean, of course, you have your smaller wrestlers that don't get any airtime. There's those couple guys though that'll stick around just because they can. They keep Great Khali just because he's great with India, and that's going to be a big foreign market for them to sell the WWE Network in.
Yeah.
They're not going to cut Hornswoggle because he's got that movie coming out, and he's basically a company guy. I'm trying to think of who else they could cut. I could see a couple of the divas getting released. I could see. I'd
love to see some divas get released, but because of the whole,
I could see them cutting Emma now.
Yeah, I can see them cutting her now. They have nothing with Emma now. It's unfortunate because Emma's a good talent.
Yeah, even though she's good, and I could just see them be like, oh well, we're just gonna cut you for that stuff now. I mean, they have some,
Adam Rose even since Vince was saying that he wasn't a big fan of Adam Rose.
Yeah, I could see Adam Rose getting cut for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be a shock because we saw 3MB, and then the next day they're cut.
Yeah,
it's not a shock. So, I mean,
you know what? I could see them even getting rid of a Fandango.
That was another guy, but I don't. It's the gimmick that holds him back. I think he's a talented
agree.
Wrestler. It's the gimmick that holds him back. That's what we can say that about a bunch of guys, though.
Yeah, I can see Kofi getting cut.
No, I don't. They won't cut him because they're doing that new stable.
Oh, that's true. Forgot about that stable. Oh
so
man,
I could
the
see
Malcolm X stable.
I could see R-Truth getting cut.
Yeah.
Going from breaking Bo's streak to getting cut. I mean, that's crazy in itself. But I don't know about RVD, but I think Rey Mysterio gets the boot by Sunday.
But the thing is with him, didn't Vince just pick up an extended part of the contract?
Well, they didn't pick it up. They kind of kept it going because he had missed so much time. They figured that he owed them time back.
You know what? They're going to cut Zack Ryder.
Oh, yeah. They'll cut Zack Ryder.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, because Hawkins is gone. Ryder will be gone.
Yep. They've already taken his merchandise off shop.
Oh, did they?
Yep. They did that a couple weeks ago.
Yep. So he'll probably get the boot. Man, I'm just trying to think of anybody else off the top of my head that I haven't seen in a while. I really hope Tyson Kidd stays, but I wouldn't be shocked if they let him go.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm really, really, really hoping that they go through with this Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel thing that's going on NXT, and they stick with them. But I could definitely see. I mean,
there's
maybe
definitely
not
a lot of NXT talents that need to get cut.
Yeah, there is. There is NXT talent that needs cut.
Yeah, I mean they don't even use them really.
Yeah.
But I think Rey Mysterio will be the biggest name that gets cut.
Yeah. That would definitely be a big name, and I would hope they wouldn't do that to Rey, but at the same time, I think Rey would be okay with it at this point, and he kind of just wants to wipe his hands clean from the WWE.
Do you think they would cut Christian?
Yeah. I do. And that's sad, but it's true.
And that was my final topic too, so.
Oh, so we're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're done.
All right, well, everyone, that's a great way to end the show. We're going to keep this under an hour. We'd like to keep it under an hour anyways. We
didn't even talk about Raw.
Well, was there anything you want to talk about from Raw?
No, it sucked.
I mean, I wouldn't say it sucked. I thought Raw was a little bit better than what it had been, but there's nothing that stands out from Raw to me, thinking about it.
Well, the thing that stand out for me was Roman Reigns just got absolutely destroyed. It's the first time we've ever seen Roman Reigns get destroyed. And when was the last time you've ever seen a wrestling program end the show with two females as the main event big thing?
Yeah, the last time was Stratus versus Lita in the main event. Yeah. And that was actually a worthwhile time to do it, not this time.
Yeah, this was your ending for the big, if I was at this Raw, I would be pissed. Your big ending is Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon arguing and fighting and pleading for this stupid case. I mean, really? That's my end of my Raw? Really?
When the very last chant is Jamie Noble and the show goes off the air, you know something bad happened.
Yeah, I was like, they are really gonna end the show with this?
Yeah,
when I
thought maybe that there was more time or something, and something else was gonna follow that, but no, that was how you end it. Let me tell you something, WWE. We don't give a shit about Stephanie McMahon versus one of the Bellas. We don't.
And I looked down. I'm like, oh well, maybe there's another match. I looked. It's 10:55. I'm like, there ain't another match, buddy.
Yeah.
I was like, if I was at that Raw, I feel bad for the Houston fans because that was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you had John Cena wrestle, you had Chris Jericho wrestle. I mean,
there was some good. I mean, and I'll say this: I was pissed off with Cesaro not getting the win versus Cena, like because I told you about that as soon as it happened, as soon as I saw it. Just because, like we've talked about in the past, Cesaro has been falling off, and I feel he needed. I feel a win over Cena, even cheating, would have put him right back up to that level of where he was. But with that being said, those two have chemistry. Those two have far more chemistry than
Randy Orton
than Cena and Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see them have a good match. Even though I was kind of pissed off about that, but yeah, I mean, I thought the show was a quality show. But yeah, nothing really stands out of like something that was super amazing.
Yeah. So. All right, well, I think that's going to end it then, right?
Yeah, let's end it talking bad about John Cena. That's how I like to do it. Like I said, we will be back every Friday. At least the show's going to be posted every Friday. Tweet us at The Rope Break if you have any questions or if you want us to talk about any kind of topics. We are also on Facebook at The Rope Break. And, yep, we will see you guys next week.
See ya.